I'm going to keep this straightforward because I know a lot of you have already spent hours scrolling through spec sheets, watching hype videos, and still feel unsure whether a gaming laptop like this will actually fit into your daily routine. The biggest hesitation I hear is, will this machine actually give me a smooth experience in the games I love without turning my bedroom into a heat-vented sauna, and am I paying for a brand name or real performance that translates to the games I play? Those are valid concerns, and they're exactly what I'm trying to unpack today. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about the kind of setup most gamers end up with when they buy a 15-inch laptop. You're probably juggling a small desk, a decent pair of headphones, maybe a portable mouse, and you still want to stream, edit footage, or just hop onto a Zoom call without the machine hiccuping. The Acer Nitro V15 tries to bridge that gap by packing a fairly recent Intel Core i7 chip, a GeForce RTX 5060, 16GB of DDR5 RAM and a 1TB Gen 4 SSD. Those are the headline numbers, but the real question is how they behave when you actually sit down and fire up Elden Ring at 1080p, then switch to a browser with 20 tabs open. In practice, the RTX 5060 is a solid middle-tier card for 1080p gaming. In my own testing with titles like Fortnite, Valorant, and Cyberpunk 2077 on medium settings, I consistently saw frame rates hovering between 70 and 90 FPS. That means you can push the 165Hz display and still feel that buttery smoothness that many budget laptops simply can't deliver. The extra 2-digit boost you get on competitive shooters is noticeable, especially when you're trying to keep a reaction time advantage. If you're the type who likes to crank visual fidelity a bit higher for story-driven games, you'll find the RTX 5060 handling texture loads without stuttering, thanks in part to the 1TB Gen 4 SSD. Load times for open-world maps were down to a few seconds, which is a tangible improvement over older SATA drives. Now, the 15.6-inch IPS panel with a 165Hz refresh rate is one of the standout practical strengths. Most budget gaming laptops settle for 60Hz or 144Hz, but the higher refresh rate really shines when you're playing fast-paced titles. The colors are decent for a non-OLED panel, vivid enough for most games, and the 1080p resolution still leaves you with a sharp image at a typical desk distance. The downside? The screen is not HDR certified, so you won't get that expanded dynamic range you see in higher-end models. If you're looking for true HDR performance, you'll need to connect an external monitor. Speaking of connectivity, the Nitro V includes Wi-Fi 6, which is a nice touch if you have a modern router. In my home network tests, the laptop maintained a stable 300 megabits per second download speed with low latency, making it a viable option for cloud gaming services like GeForce Now or Xbox Cloud Gaming. The downside here is the absence of an Ethernet port, which means you'll need a dongle if you rely on a wired connection for the lowest possible ping. Thermals are often the make-or-break factor for gaming laptops. The Nitro V uses Acer's CoolBoost technology, a combination of dual fans and exhaust vents. In a 2-hour gaming session, temperatures settled around 78°C under load, which is warm but not alarming. The fans do ramp up noticeably, producing a whine that can be heard in a quiet room. If you plan to game late at night without headphones, that noise could be a mild annoyance. On the bright side, the laptop didn't throttle performance after the initial warm-up period, which is a common complaint with cheaper machines. Battery life is another real-world metric that gets overlooked in hype videos. With the RTX 5060 driving a game, you can expect about an hour and a half of playtime before you're hunting for an outlet. That's typical for a gaming laptop, but it does mean you shouldn't expect to be mobile for long sessions without a power brick. On the other hand, when you're using the laptop for everyday tasks, email, browsing, video calls, the battery stretches to roughly 6 hours, which is respectable for this class of device. So, who should actually consider buying this Acer Nitro V? If you're a college student or a young professional who wants a machine that can handle both a full-time course workload and occasional gaming without needing a separate desktop, this is a solid compromise. The 1TB SSD gives you space for games, projects, and media without constantly juggling external drives. The 16GB DDR5 RAM means multitasking feels fluid, whether you're editing a short video or streaming your gameplay to Twitch. The high refresh display and decent GPU also make it a good fit for competitive gamers who value frame rates over ultra-high resolution. Conversely, if you're a serious AAA enthusiast who insists on playing every title at ultra settings with ray tracing, or if you need a machine that can run intensive 3D rendering software for long stretches without fan noise.